All right. Hi, everyone. Wow, my fingers feel so big. Let me see if I can zoom out. There we go, just a little bit. So today I am planning on just doing a lot of Franken stuff. I have a blush I want to make, powder blush, cream blush I want to work on, cream bronzer, even brow stuff. So we're just gonna go with it. I have a ton of tools off to the side here, and then I have some of my other things in the back. So let's jump into our powder blush first. I'm trying to decide between putting it into either one of these right now. I'm feeling like the Rockateur one, I feel like that's giving me more blush vibes because I just finished a Franken bronzer in here, so I might do that. I have these like dry wipes that I just have lying around from baby days, so that's what I'm using right now to kind of clean things up. I don't actually remember what was here before. Oh, I think it was actually it was a bronzer, like a contour type thing, but we'll be cleaning it up to use for blush. So mainly what I'm gonna work on is my Painting Bingo blush. That is also a Franken blush, but it is massive. It actually originally used to hold a MAC blush, I think in peaches, but that was like too light, and then I Frankened it, and now it's too dark. It's just like a really, really bright shade of something. No, the light hand looks okay, but I definitely am one that can be kind of like tough with my brush. Like I just really push stuff in there, so I want to mix this into something that I hope will be a little bit better. So my method lately for doing powder type stuff is a dry wet method with a sifter. So it's been really fun actually. I even did it with my toddler and she did great with it. So basically I use like a kind of a bowl type thing, and then I have a sifter here. It's just from the dollar store. And then I just basically scrape in whatever I want to use. I am going to be actually using a new tool to me. I picked this up at Happy Beauty Co. I am outside. Did I not mention that? It's really, really beautiful today, like mid-60s. It is cooling down now. We're kind of chasing the sun, but yeah. Okay, look at how beautiful this spatula is. Oh my god, it is so shiny, so pointy. Has a lot of ability to really get in crevices and give me, get me what I want. So I'm just gonna scrape in as much as I want, especially that hard pan on the side. Ugh, been waiting to get rid of that. So let's make sure we get rid of that. Yeah, using a sifter has really helped with a lot, just because it takes out the time. If you've ever like Franken stuff before, like it just takes a lot of time sometimes to actually like get it to a powder that you want. And I don't really like the process of mixing it with alcohol and everything like that. So I'm hoping what I show you in this like dry wet method will maybe save you some time as well, because I feel like it's kind of working. I think the longevity is always questionable, but that's another. Sorry, it's not really not in focus. I'm trying to tell it to focus, but maybe this is a little bit too shiny. Or maybe my camera is just a little bit too close and doesn't want to focus. Does it focus up here? Not really. I don't think it's really thinking very much. There we go. That'll help just a tad. I'm not really sure what it wants to focus on. That's really interesting. Okay, testing the different areas, and it's not really doing what I want it to do. So hopefully you still get the gist despite it being blurry. I apologize. So I can probably get a good amount of this into the Rockateur packaging. So I'll start there because I do want to add a bit of powder. I don't want to do all of that blush. I think I was going to mainly put in my Smashbox powder. Just because these are super, super sheer. And I was probably going to focus on... This is kind of like a weird... Like, sorry. Just probably bump the camera. It's like a white one, but it has like a pink shift to it. So I think that one would work nicely with this. I'm hoping it will both lighten and also give it a nice pink shimmer type thing. Hit Franken pan. Sorry, you can see my house behind me. Okay, tap, tap, tap. Maybe should I just finish it? I mean, honestly, what else would I use it in? I mean, DIY loose powder, but I don't need more white powder in my loose powder. I need more face tone powder. I have another loose powder that I mix in that's usually pretty light. And then, let me swatch this one. This one's kind of pinky. This one's also really light too. I mean, I do aim to kind of tone it down so it's not so bright. So actually, before I do that, let me mix in another powder that's also in my panning project. It's this one from MAC. It definitely would make it darker, but also hoping will kind of neutralize it just a little bit. Because it is like a bronzer. I mean, it'll really just be an experiment, won't it? And I don't really need to fill up the entire packaging either. So I need to make sure I remind myself I don't need to go too hard with this. And maybe I'll mix in one of the lighter tones here. I think this one. Probably not the whole thing, but maybe just enough to hit pan. You can hear the pan there. So that's my cue. Stop mixing. And then from here, I just use this just to sift. Sometimes I use the spatula that I was just mixing with, but sometimes it's a little bit too fine. But let me get the small chunks out, and then the big chunks I usually use another tool of sorts. Sometimes like back of mascara, mascara bottle or something. Let me see what I have here. I don't really want to ruin that. I guess I'll just use this big cap. I mean, it's a white cap, but I pulled it off of another bottle, and I'm obviously don't like to keep these on my bottles anyway, so that's fine. Anyway, so I pushed it through. I mean, this isn't like the most fine sifter or like mesh ever, but you know, like this finish is not bad at all. So I am gonna run with it. And let me clean off the lens well. This always happens. I never have a clean lens. I don't know if that was any better. Not really, actually. That's fine. Okay, so this is where we're at. And then from here, let's go ahead and take a look at our pan. And I do like to put it onto some paper. Just have some old paper here to use to help transfer. Okay, wow, that seems like a lot of product, but that's usually what it's like. Aim and fire. Ooh, already got it over the edge. Yeah, don't be afraid of like a big mountain of stuff, because we're going to dry press this and I'll basically press it all down. So, and I do my best not to like press it twice, so like not to press a little bit and then a little bit more. So I'm going to put too much in there. It is getting really tall, but I shall persist. And if product is wasted, oops. I never know quite how to feel about wasted product. It's like I was attempting a Franken project and I enjoyed myself very much, and this is the result. So do my best to get it in there without toppling the mountain. And honestly, trading wasted product for actually using this amount of product is worth it, because otherwise I would be too scared to touch it. So let me zoom you guys in just a bit. Oh yeah, it is focusing. Ooh, okay, maybe not that close. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So now I press on top of it. I often start actually just with my hands, just so I can feel kind of how the powder is doing. And do my best to press inwards to keep it all inside as much as possible. And some of it's going to spill out again, which is just part of it. As long as most of it gets in the pan, that's fine. So do a pretty firm press. I'm able to actually do a pretty firm press even just with my fingers already. I'll show you in just a minute here. Ooh. So that's a lot of extra. Let me get it back on the piece of paper. Might be one of those things where I might end up salvaging it for something else, but I'm not sure right now. Sometimes if it's like not a ton, then I might even put it like in my DIY loose powder or something. Just because once you press down one of these, if you try to press on top of it again, it can sometimes backfire and just like chunk right off. So that's why I prefer not to, and thus wasted product. So okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. Let's see what shade it came out with. It definitely looks a lot lighter, I mean, especially with those white flecks, but taking from the discards here, from the extras, that's actually a really pretty shade. I don't think it really shows up on camera, but for me, It's still kind of vibrant, but definitely a little bit more muted and definitely a lot more sheer. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's a little bit different. I think it's a little bit brighter than my other blushes, but coming into spring, I'm not like super mad about it. So here is the wet part. So as you can see, I said I dry pressed it, right? So I think oftentimes people mix it with alcohol first to kind of like make sure it stays together and like kind of goes in as like a paste. But I do find mixing that and pressing that to be challenging. So I'm starting this method, which hasn't, see, it's starting to chunk off from the new part that I pushed in. So as you can see there, that kind of fails. Let me press it a little bit better again. So I do use alcohol. I have 70% alcohol in this bottle, and I'm just gonna spray it. I mean, obviously it's gonna be on top, but really saturate it and kind of like let it soak in. And sometimes what happens is that it actually bubbles a little bit because it's starting to catch the air bubbles that are in there, and it's really interesting and fascinating. But I'm essentially trying to saturate a like a good layer of it, if not all the way through. Sometimes if it's a thinner one, I do end up saturating it most of the way. And this way I'm at least able to really firmly press the top layer and feel like it's like melded together, rather than I'm just kind of at the mercy of however I'm pressing and if I'm pressing firmly enough or not. So now I'm going to try to just kind of soak up the excess here. Give it still a little bit of time to kind of soak in. As you can see, I don't know if you can see the little bubbles here. Yeah, so where it's bubbling, that's where it's like, you know, there was air in there and it wasn't the firmest press ever. So I'm going to do that one more time. Let that do its thing. And then I'm actually going to be using the top of this bottle today because these edges are curved, or yeah, a little bit rounded. So this bottle has rounded edges. So I think this will work nicely. Okay. So let's press. Kind of using just by feel. And I think what's nice is because I've already done like an initial press, there isn't as like, I can kind of just press even with a shape that doesn't fit completely on top of it. But this at least is more accurate and can really like get the shape down just a little bit more. Okay. So that's a really pretty color. Wow. Okay, let's do it one more time. Okay, so I think I'll just leave this one to dry and see what happens. As you can see, a little bit of it squished up, but I mean, thankfully this type of press, since it's now more liquid, it will stay in, versus the dry one, it does like just kind of flake off. So that's that. Okay, let me wipe it down just a tad. And here is our wet blush right now. I would say that's probably gonna actually look pretty nice. It's a really pretty tone right now. Okay, so let me clean up the area, put that away. But yeah, it feels really good to have added a bit of this Smashbox one as well as my other bronzer, because otherwise I'm not reaching for those on my own, and so I kind of need to use these Franken methods to actually do that. So let me put this over here. Try to get the dry stuff with the dry stuff. I might actually end up putting it in my loose Franken powder right now, because that one isn't like the coolest thing ever, isn't the coolest shade of bronzer contour, but it's like a little bit cool, and I think it could handle the pink. That's fine. And honestly, I don't have that much, so I'm not like, or even I can put it in my like Fallout jar that I have right now. I actually might do that. Okay, so now let's go into, so we have one product done. Let's go into my, oh, this one's pretty easy. This is my cream blush. So I just need to push a little bit more in there. And I've been basically taking it from my Becca highlight here. I'm mainly doing this now because I'm about to film my Project Panoply update, and I put in there that I was going to hit pan. So this is my way of hitting pan, is by putting in a different packaging, which I know is kind of cheating, but hey, I'm gonna give myself points for putting in effort. So, all right, I'm just gonna try to get that out. Little pizza slice here. And looks like I can fit quite a bit in here, so I might go for a little bit more. I think each one of these pans is about 1 gram, so I think I can fit quite a bit in here. Wow, that's like almost about half of whatever was left in here. That's pretty cool. Okay, so that's looking like it has pan, but this one does not look like it has pan anymore, which is fine. So I'm just gonna press it in here for now. Sometimes I melt it if I get really annoyed with the texture, but maybe just for time's sake, I will not do that today. I was thinking about it, but didn't get around to it. Okay. So that is gonna be our blush refill for now. And honestly, using it from this packaging is nice. Sorry if you hear a leaf blower. It's so nice outside today that all the neighbors are trying to take advantage of it. Where I am, it's like we just don't get a ton of sun this time of year, so it's like vitamin D, everybody get outside. All right, so that one's done. I'm actually gonna reuse this for the next one. I am actually gonna make a cream bronzer. So I recently rolled in this primer because I used up this primer, and I've been using this as a cream bronzer, but it is just like super warm, and I don't know, it's just like been hard to use from this jar as well. So because this paint pot formula really needs an airtight container, I was thinking maybe the Tasha one, because I finished it up, I could maybe melt some in there. So that is my plan. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the full thing. I kind of want to maybe just experiment first. So let's use half. Oh, that's satisfying. Wow. Okay, makeup destruction at its finest. So let's put half in here. And then let's go ahead. I was going to pull in some of this concealer. Just because this one can sometimes be a little bit dark. So let's see, this one's too warm, so I want the pinker concealer. Okay, I think that's this one over here. So I'm just going to grab a strip of this. I don't know if I need a full one, but let's do like that much. Okay. And then I did actually want to mix it in with my new primer as well. But let's melt the two cream ones together first. I'm a little bit nervous because of this is plastic. I do have this pan here, so I might either melt it in here. I don't have my regular spoon with me, so I'm kind of screwed, but hey, we will see what happens. Yeah, let's do that. So I have a lighter with me. We're gonna see what happens. Thankfully, this rod is also metal, so I'm not like too scared of it, but let me see if I can like just make sure it stays in one spot, so that way I don't have to deal with like having it spread all over and needing to do that. So I'm just gonna let it melt. Watch it catch fire. Oh my god. I am outside, so thankfully I feel like it's pretty aerated and ventilated, but yeah, otherwise I'd just be doing this inside and would have to deal with it. The darker spot I don't think is actually it burning. I think it's the darker shade that was in my paint pot earlier. So you can see it melted pretty well. I think I'll leave it at that. Yeah, that's a pretty good melt. Alright, let's pour it in. Sorry you couldn't see that. Trying to get as much as I can in here. Yeah, you still can't see what I'm doing. I'm sorry. I am outside where it's starting to get cooler, so I do wonder if it's gonna solidify a little bit harder. a little faster. But hey, it is what it is. So that's the color I got. I think before it completely solidifies, I'm going to try to squeeze in some of this primer and mix it in. Because I think another thing was like, it was just so stiff to work with. So I'm kind of excited to use up some of this primer this way. And also just to shear it out. As much as I know shearing it out means like I might not be able to work on it as fast. But hey, I'm just attempting to use stuff up. I honestly don't know if I even need a cream bronzer ever again after like this, after I finish all these products. So, okay, I'm pretty happy with this texture actually. It's really interesting, very moussey. I tend not to melt those primers because I've had trouble with them in the past. So I know this looks really gross, but it's, if I melt it and made it like, if I tried to make a nicer texture, I'd probably just destroy the product instead. So that is where we're at with things. I might go in with a spatula later and try to clean this up, but you know what? Like I said before, product lost is inevitable. Maybe I should phrase it like that. So there might be spots where I guess it'll be a little bit more pigmented than others. But I would say that's a pretty decent job. Okay, let's just pretend like this is chocolate and not anything else that is brown and moussey. Chocolate mousse actually does sound really good right now. Sorry, the lighting just got really dark. The sun is officially down, but let's do a quick swatch. What do I have here that I can swatch for you guys? Oh yeah, that's a lot nicer. Still a little bit warm, but honestly a lot more workable. So, and the texture is really nice just because this is like a blurring primer. And now I have more of the primer done, technically. So, all right, this is messy. So let me wipe up the edges here so it doesn't get, attempt not to get it over the cap, but I probably will anyways, which is fine. Okay. All right, so another one done. So 3 things right now. No, not that one. This one. And then, let's see, and then the last one was kind of experimental. I don't know how far this is gonna go, to be honest. I really wanted to figure out how to start using these brow pomades or brow waxes. And I was gonna start, I mean, I have this like really, really dark eyeshadow that I've really not been using. So I'm wondering, I was thinking if I actually like used up all of this, then I would have this space to put in the pomade and the other stuff. Should I just do that? Just commit and get it done? Like, why else would I reach for this other than to make another cream bronzer? My just go for it mentality is starting to kick in. Let's just do it. Because honestly, I really preferred this as a cream bronzer anyways, so it's like I was trying to use it on my eyes too, but it just often was a little bit too dark, and I just was using it for the sake of using it. So I might as well just make it into something that I'm actually going to enjoy. Okay, so this jar is pretty much done. Ta-da! Franken panning. That's what I should name myself. Not the impulsive panner, I'll be the Franken panner. Okay, so I wish I had my spatula with me because then I would be able to actually clean this out a lot better, but I think this gets most of it. I can't tell, is that actually like a burn? That might actually be a burn from a previous time I was trying to melt stuff. Okay, so this is most of it. Let's put in a little bit of that concealer again. And then the concealer did help a lot with like making it look more like a normal bronzer. So I will do that again. All right, Pyromaniac moment. I feel like it really is lighting on fire. I mean, makeup is technically flammable. See that? I'm just the things I do. Okay, make maybe I just shouldn't be doing that very much. Okay, I think I'm just gonna melt it partially. And then mix it in and see what else I need to do. Because sometimes it's like, you know, like the heat dissipates and will continue to melt the rest of the product. Alright, that's probably the closest you guys will ever get to ASMR. From me, at least. Squeeze more primer in. As much as I like this primer, I really don't like it coming from this squeezy bottle. Like, I feel like I use such a little amount when I do, and so I am not afraid to just go for it. Okay, so I'm gonna mix it in again. I'm actually gonna mix it completely. This is probably more primer than it is actual paint pot, but I like the tint it's giving. Okay. I'll call that good for now. It's probably not the best mix ever, but hey. It's something I think I'm gonna use. Like, I really do. And actually, like, enjoy using it. We'll see how long it takes. I think this jar can hold, like, the original amount that was in here was 5 grams. And I think whenever I like franken stuff in, I think it's sometimes a little bit more, but it actually might be kind of close this time because it's not completely full. I think if it was full, it might actually hold like 6 or 7 grams in here. But yeah, all right. So that one's done. Let's go ahead and wipe out the paint pot container and we can do our last Franken experiment here. Yeah, I definitely have a bit of stuff that I was not able to clean out, and it's like sad that I won't ever be able to use that bit, but such is Franken panning. I think kind of like what I said before, it's like unfortunate, but hey, I'm gonna use this stuff. Like, I'm making into things that I am actually gonna use and try, and like, and that's a lot more exciting to me than just like hate panning something. Like, I guess this is my version of hate panning, but not. It's like, don't hate pan, Franken instead. I don't know, I'll have to make up a little motto for myself, right? Okay, so this one now, my experiment was, this was, I think, a brow pomade from Anastasia, maybe? It's clear. And I'm wondering if I can mix it in with, this is actually like a hair pomade. Like, how similar is it? Not super similar. Am I allowed to mix them? Would they become more powerful if I mix them? This one is a little bit more watery than this one is. This one's like a lot more waxy, which I think is really interesting. I wouldn't mind mixing them together. Hey, frankening. We'll just try it. I mean, these were just samples from Sephora. Like, I honestly don't have much to lose. I don't think that this is a melting situation. I think this will be a dump. Yeah, put it in here. And same thing here. Yeah, the sales associate was very generous and gave me quite a bit of product. And then I think I'll have to sift my other powder. And I think right now I'm wondering, like, how much powder should I really put in here? I'll try to tap off whatever blush is in here, because there's inevitably some blush that is still in here. But I think it'll be okay. Okay, so my brows are nearly black. So this one is nearly black. So I think I'm going to probably use... I'm tempted to say all of it. I mean, I was using this like as is in my brows, so honestly, if I mix all of it, like, what difference is there? This one's a little bit warmer, so I don't think I'm going to touch that yet. I'm going to try to use it in something, but this was my Pan That palette from last year that I have, once I finished, actually I finished the other ones and then some. I actually repressed some stuff in there. I kind of called it done. So, okay, let's sift this. It's definitely kind of pretty chunky. Sorry, the lighting is so terrible. And that House Labs palette in particular, the formula is really interesting because it's very, very soft. And let me pull in this cap again to help me really grind it in there. But I think that, one, I'm really light-handed with dark shadows, but also it made it really interesting to use. Okay, so now I need, what do I do with this? Let's see if I can... I still have my loose powder from the blush, so I'm trying to do my best to figure out a way to fold it in a way where I can still use this piece of paper, because I don't have another piece of paper with me, and be able to sift this out, so, or dump this out, so it's like espresso. And then let's just pour it in and give it a mix. I feel like I'm making my own paint pot all of a sudden. But honestly, I'm just making my own pomade. All right, ooh. All right, so let's see how this goes. Let's see how it takes on pigment. You know, sometimes they don't take on pigment too well, but this might be doing something. Oh, this is such an interesting texture. I wish I had one of those, like, you know, like those painters where they like mix the linseed oil or whatever to mix their own paint, and they like just like crush it and like really finely blend it together. I feel like this is one of those things where it could have been useful. Wow, I never use brow anything. Like brow powder is pretty much where it's at right now, but for a challenge I did say I would mix it, so honestly I think this is most of it. This is most of the powder. Like this is the glob, and that's all the powder that's left in there. So I think that's most of it. I would say that was a success. Not a wild success, but hey, I'm not a manufacturing company. So honestly, anything that seems somewhat usable is a success in my book. And I don't know if I'm going to use all this up. This was really all in the name of experimentation. So, you know, I think I'm just going to use as much as I can, as much as I think is okay, until I feel gross about it, and then call it good. So, hey, that's that. Let's swatch the color a bit. I don't have much real estate anymore on this hand. But yeah, that seems pretty dark to me. I'll have to figure out what brush I need to use with it. But it's not like overly pigmented. Like, I could even do eyeliner with this stuff, you know? I wonder how it would hold up to that. And honestly, I originally got those pomades to actually try as a mascara. So that might be an interesting experiment as well, is to use this now that it's mixed together with the pigment as mascara. Because the mascara that I have coming up, I'm not super excited to use because of how dry it is. But this actually seems like a really nice texture. Really good glide, a little sticky. But I don't know how it would hold in like eyelashes, you know? So, yeah, let me clean up the edges and pop the cap back on. And call this one 4 out of 4. Okay, so sorry for the messy backdrop, but we made this brow pomade. We made this cream bronzer. Oh my goodness, there's already gunk all over it. I guess that is what happens when you have black packaging. So I'm pretty excited to use that actually. I'm going to put on a face of makeup just right now so I can film, so I might try that out. This powder blush I'm going to have to check out. From the lighting I have, not in the camera, it actually looks a little purple, which is really interesting, and very excited about that. So, but even on the camera, it looks like a very, very pretty pink. And then we did press some extra blush in here. So, yeah, honestly, very, very happy with this Franken session. I hope you thought it was interesting, and hopefully you think I had a success too. But let me know if you look forward to more of these. I have more in the works, and hopefully I can share more with you. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.